everyone. How was it? How are we feeling? All right, well, I am Courtney Bell. I am a co-founder of Not Your Daddy's Films, and I would like to introduce an incredible actor, producer, and now director. Brittany Snow has been sharing her work with us for over the last 2 decades, in addition to sharing her incredible charity work through September Letters. She has left us with memorable performances in projects like John Tucker Must Die, Hairspray, X, Someone Great, and Pitch Perfect. Brittany knows how to stand out in front of and now behind the camera. Sharing her feature directorial debut with us, Parachute, please welcome Brittany Snow. To welcome the lead of the film. You also might know her from Yellow Jackets or Mad Max, Courtney Eaton.
By the way, that last song that was just playing is Courtney, an original song from Courtney Eaton over there. That's how beautiful that is, yeah.
Oh my God, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Well, before we get into it, I first just want to say personally, you guys, this film is just so beautiful. This is my second time watching it this week, and just thank you guys for making it. I think it's not often that we have such a beautiful, honest story about codependency, eating disorders, addiction, specifically from the woman perspective. And I know that I was incredibly moved by it, and I needed to see it, and I'm sure most everyone here feels the same. So thank you guys. All right. So you, Brittany, you've had a long career as an actor, of course, and you made a beautiful short film in 2019 called Milkshake. I first just want to know, what did you take from your experience on Milkshake into making Parachute?
Well, I seem to only know how to write about myself. I will branch out eventually. But Milkshake is also about me and my mom's relationship, and then this is also sort of an addendum to that, I guess, of me growing up in a way, and then it becoming lots of people's stories. Anybody who was on the set, all of our cast, it became their story as well, and I sort of intertwined a lot of experiences in that as well. But I think what I learned from Milkshake was just to ask myself constantly the question of, is this honest, is this interesting? Which I always kind of felt like was a North Star of something to go back to. And I guess that's what I was trying to do with Parachute, is make it honest and interesting, and yeah, that's what Milkshake paved the way for, I think.
Do you feel like that was a guiding light for you in some way to transition to directing, or was that something you always knew that you wanted to do?
I didn't actually know that I wanted to direct. I didn't even think I wanted to direct this, to be honest. I didn't think I had the ability to, and I thought I would mess it up. But then when going into creating it and sort of thinking about it, I am too much of a control freak, as you can see, to let anyone else tell it. So I feel that. So I'm glad that I did, I guess, in a certain way. Although I was sitting in the back and I had about 80 notes for myself. I was like, oh, this is gonna be redo that one day. So yeah, I don't know. It never ends.
Well, not to continue to go down this path, but I am curious about, how do you feel with being an actor then transitioning to directing? Do you feel like you had a different level of understanding that you brought specifically to directing that maybe relieved some of the criticism, or was it like, I'm in a whole new field right now and I'm just trying to figure out like how to make this thing work over here?
I guess I didn't really think about it that much in terms of making something work, because I didn't plan on it being a career path. I just kind of felt like I needed to direct this one thing, and maybe that's a question for Courtney more than me of if it was helpful that I was an actor or not.
Yes.
Or if you were like, shut up, I don't need your acting notes. But I think I guess I hope what I tried to bring was sort of this, what I would want as an actor in terms of creating a character and an experience, an environment. I feel like music is really important, bonding, camaraderie, all the like intermingling things really helped me as an actor. So I don't know if that helped or not, but I enforced that on my set. Everyone getting along well.
I mean, which is so huge. And this then is a follow-up question for both of you. How do you feel then that really impacted your casting choices with bringing two people on board who just had amazing chemistry with the will they, want they? And for you, how do you feel like being directed by not only a fellow actor but also a woman impacted your performance and your ability to connect with your director?
Yeah, I think it was incredibly important that it was directed by a woman, but no one else other than Brittany. And the fact that you're an actor brought, like, just even in our prep and making Thomas and I go bowling and send each other playlists, which is how Mary Miyachi came into the film. Yeah, you're an actor's director, and just like the notes that you would come up and give me, we wouldn't even have to talk because we spoke the same language. Yeah, I wouldn't know anyone else.
When we met, I started realizing as we were talking that we talk in the same way. We have the same sort of cadence and how that came to be. And so it was really hard to find someone that is inherently brazen in her search and quest for her self-discovery, but also sort of self-deprecating and huggable, and you have to root for her the whole time, even though she's doing these seemingly despicable things, but she's doing it in such a self-aware way. And I felt when I met Courtney, she exuded all these qualities that you just wanted to watch whatever she was doing. Obviously, you can tell.
Even though I walked into our meeting the most hectic way, lost.
But that was
like,
exactly what I needed.
People following me.
And then we just sat and ate cookies, and it was love. Yeah.
So did you know that you wanted to cast Courtney and Thomas in the beginning, or was it a traditional casting process?
It wasn't traditional. I really, it was tough, but I knew it was always, Courtney was on a list that I really wanted, because weirdly enough, she was actually friends with the actual Ethan. There's a real Ethan, and weirdly enough, she's friends with the actual Ethan. So I always had my eye on her, and then when we met, I kind of just knew. But I remember telling my producer, I was like, "It's this girl, Courtney." Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I was specifically moved by the scene between you and Thomas in the beginning. You guys are going back and forth, like, are you guys gonna hook up or not? And I think that it's gotta be such a challenging thing to create as a director and as an actor, to make something feel, the juxtaposition between, she's sad, this is a hard moment, like, I feel for her, I'm so uncomfortable, but also it was so funny and endearing and awkward, and I want to know.
It's not that I didn't trust you. I didn't trust me in that scene.
She hates the meet cute.
I don't hate the meet cute. I hate me in the meet cute.
Which is crazy.
It was so weird.
Yeah, but and this is why we share the same brain. I watched the first 20 minutes of the movie, and I was like, wow, this is way too much. It's so meet cute. But what I really wanted to set up was the fact that a lot of romances and a lot of things that you kind of fall into, you don't necessarily go with your trauma leading you. You go in with the noble thought that I'm going to have a new friend or experience, and then you start realizing as you start to live a normal life that the trauma follows you. And I always wanted to do a movie about that, where it was a girl trying to live, not actually trying to get better. I didn't want her in rehab. I didn't think that was interesting of the darkness surrounding that. Like, let's see her try to actually do a meet cute, and what would happen if a guy touched her stomach, and how little that could feel insignificant to somebody who doesn't have an eating disorder, but to somebody who does, it's hugely impactful. So I think, although we both have reservations about the meet cute,
No.
it's
You think
there.
I hate it. I don't hate it.
How do you think you directed that moment to keep that energy up and also keep the internal pain?
I think that day you just did you did a really good job of keeping the pace, and we went really quickly between takes. Because obviously I'm a person that gets in my head really quick, so you didn't give me enough time to just kind of wallow and be like, how do I fix this to make it perfect? And yeah, I think just the way that it was written, everything kind of came off the page, and then you add Thomas and running around being Thomas, and it adds that awkwardness and everything that scene needs.
Definitely. And I have to shout out to my DP, K2,
Mm-hmm.
Kristen Curl. I think she's here, I know, but she was incredible. And we had, I don't know if this is evident, but we had no time and no money. Sorry, my producers that are here. But what we set up was sort of this world that they could actually really live in, and I really felt like that cadence of their movement and them being sort of in their behavior was really important. I didn't want to stop, so we kind of lit the world a lot, and you can really see that in their performance. So they didn't have to hit a mark necessarily, which is always helpful.
Mm-hmm. And I think without crew and having K2 and for the female DP just made the whole environment feel really safe and let everyone let loose. Like, I don't think I would be able to get to where I got with maybe a different crew and DP.
Yeah.
I'm definitely not directed.
I feel like that goes without saying, but can you guys speak on that more, how it was for you of having 3 women at the helm of the project? I mean, I don't know how often you get that.
Yeah, our producer Lizzie Shapiro also is here, who, is working out as well. I think it was really important for me when putting together a crack team of people. I wanted it to be a female lens, and I wanted it to feel really united in a front where we all just sort of understood the same topic that we were telling. We were all telling the same story, and so yeah, I hope that was helpful, that I felt like Courtney could feel safe with these women because we were all on the same page at all times. Mm-hmm. And even we had lots of trigger warning meetings with the crew, with everybody about what to say on set and what not to say, and to make sure that Courtney felt safe at all times to go there.
Well, speaking of Riley's mental state, how exactly did you plan in pre or was it in post, the sounds from the phone, the individual flashback shots, the close-up shots of her skin? Did you know that you wanted to do that in the script, or did that develop based on what you saw?
It was in the script. It was Becca Gleason, also a woman, is my co-writer as well. And it was in the script originally where I kind of felt like I wanted it to traditionally feel like a rom-com at first, and then have these sort of viewpoints of what actually is going on in her head. And I think it's really confusing for people who don't have maybe an eating disorder or anxiety or something, but I wanted it to feel visceral, and so the best way I knew how to do that, I guess, was with sound and pictures in a way. And I felt like something really important to me in terms of, I'm going to age myself, but being a millennial, and maybe this is for Gen Z too, is that sometimes we see a lot of things in pictures, in memories, whether it be on Instagram or how you see yourself or just a moment that you remember. And so I wanted that to sort of all feel intertwined, where there was just these snapshots that weren't really attached to her being in her body, they were in her mind. So that was why I wanted it to seem sort of specific to pictures, I guess.
Yeah, that completely
And we
makes
had
sense.
mental binders of like different colors and for all the flashbacks, which was crazy too.
Different colors?
Oh yeah, we had like a giant Bible. I had one. We each had crazy Bibles of trying to color.
Because I love to be in control.
And so are you.
So I had
Me
colored
also.
binders. People were like, okay. Yeah.
How do you feel like that helped guide you, Courtney? I'm not used to saying my own name out loud.
I know.
This is a thing we've done before, but
Yes.
in just knowing that you knew there were going to be concentrated moments where you were going to have to dive really deep to a really painful place, do you think knowing what it was going to look like helped you figure out how to navigate that without taking yourself too far? Or were you like, I just trust the process, let's go?
I think just from the beginning, from the moment that Brittany and I met, I was ready to like dive all the way in. I don't think I thought about it too much because I knew that those feelings would just naturally come up in certain scenes or with things said, and I felt safe enough for them to just let them loose. So yeah, I didn't really prep too much or think about them too much because it's always sitting somewhere in me. But yeah.
Yeah, and you spoke just a little bit earlier, bringing it back, about not having maybe as much of the finances that you would have liked. Do you think that affected anything in the script? Did you have to cut anything? Did you have to use a different location, or, you know?
We had the best team of people that made this work in New York City, in Soho. I mean, the fact that we got this done in the locations that we did, for the time that we did, in the places that we set out to get is pretty incredible. But you know, I look back and I kind of think I wouldn't have wanted it to be any more of a budget, because I felt like that camaraderie in the family, that we sort of grassroots guerrilla, everyone knew what we were doing every day, everyone had a like-minded goal, and everyone had someone, which I thought was really beautiful, from our key grip, you know, to our gaffer. Someone had someone in their life that was either an addict, had some sort of codependency issue, or a family member who did, and I felt like that really brought the people together in a way where, you know, they weren't making much, but we did it in a great way. And to piggyback off of what Courtney said too, I have to give her, you know, such a big compliment, because I think what really is amazing about her performance, and I'm sure this is what everyone thinks as well, is there's so much underneath what she's actually showing.
Yeah.
And so the prep work that she did was so internal that it didn't even need to be in a binder. I didn't need to see it ever. I just knew and trusted.
My binder still looks psycho though.
Well, you didn't have to show me, because I would look at her face and I would be like, well, it's all happening there. So.
Well, your performance is so visceral in this film, and is also in the exact same way in Yellow Jackets. Can you speak to what your prep is?
I'm like still trying to figure out what my prep is. I don't know if that's a great answer. I've tried other people's, and I feel like I'm a very intuitive actor. I kind of, if I start thinking about it too much, I'm gonna fizzle out. But right now, I'm looking into like dream work and going into your subconscious, but mostly it's what strikes me in the moment, and that can sound like I don't prep at all, but I don't know. I'm kind of just led by my heart, and most of the time it's right. Wow, that sentence sounded so.
It's like a very
led by my
present
heart.
actor. Obviously, you can see that she's so present that I would let her and Thomas go a lot. And what I really loved is that I could tell when they were on a tangent, or when they were in something, and I those are my favorite moments, or things that I didn't write or plan.
Yeah. Did you let them go off script at all? Is that what?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Pretty much all the like great stuff is not me.
Oh no. Shush.
Sure.
Well, what is you? Is this definitely also feels like a love letter to New York. I mean, the transitions are so specific, depending on what state Riley is in the moment. And I was wondering if that was something that you planned beforehand. Was that a discovery in post?
I wanted to place it in a location where you could be the duality of someone who knew who they were, in it being sort of down home and comfortable, which I feel like I tried to give Ethan a little bit more of someone being seemingly secure with themselves, but actually not really. So New York can kind of seem that way. Mm-hmm. And then someone who's sort of a fish out of water, living in a space that doesn't even feel like their own. And you can do that in New York as well. But I think what was really important for us too was color in the city as well. We worked a lot with how she was colored, and how the world was colored when she was with Ethan, or when she was with her drugs, which was social media or food, and how when she was with him, it was sort of, I kept saying to my producers, I want it to feel like a hug. It needs to feel like a hug. And so I felt like New York was a really great place of doing that as well.
Yeah. What advice would you have for first-time filmmakers, just if there's anything?
I would say if you have the passion of doing it, just fight the voices in your head that say that you can't, and just try to do it anyway. Start smaller and learn, you know, cool things. I took like master classes during COVID.
Really?
Like Jodie Foster's master class. You know, I was just like online being like, I'm gonna just do it all. You know, there's so many, not just master class. There's obviously master. I am not getting paid by master class.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. But there's so many resources available to learn how to do great things, and then also just put your own stamp on it and come with some swagger of your own, which can only be done by you, which I think is really important for first time filmmakers.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel like you have another project in mind to direct?
I already wrote something.
Okay.
But I don't know. That's not this budget. It's way more. So I'm gonna have to find a few more. I'm gonna have to find a few more friends. But Courtney's in it, whether she knows it or not.
100%. Yeah. We would all be lucky to work with Courtney. Before we end, I just want to open it up to the audience. I will say I can see none of you. Well, I will start because I can't see
I'm so glad
you.
I can't see anything.
I can repeat it back if we can't hear, but if you want to speak up.
Hey, Brittany. I was thinking about Bobby Lynn the whole damn movie. And
No, you can't.
no,
Talk about
listen.
this.
That when she was freaking out and having anxiety, that's what I'm going through. It's like I'm really I feel what she feels. I feel
know.
the pain she
We're gonna
feels.
talk about this later.
I know, but
We're gonna talk
it's-
about this later because we talked about this before.
I know, but like the whole movie was like I felt her anxiety. I know what it feels like. That anxiety
I know.
feels like. I
Well,
know.
I'm glad because that's what I was hoping for.
I know. I had to say that.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you
And
for
then-
sharing that.
You can
Yes.
see that, right?
Yeah, yes, sorry.
No worries. So I'm a big TV fan, big American Dreams fan.
Oh, cool.
So my first question is, did I spy Sarah Ramos on the Instagram?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
And secondly, can you talk about casting? Because you have some of my favorite people from some of my favorite projects in this.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that was Sarah Ramos doing me a favor. Lucas Gage did me a favor. Lots of favors. Pretty much all favors, to be honest. You know, when you're making a movie about a topic that is so specific, there's a lot of phone calls being like, I know this seems like a far-fetched idea, but I think it'll help people. And a lot of my friends really pulled up, and that was really nice. The casting process was also specific because I wanted Gina in a part, I wanted Dave in a part, so I sort of just like morphed it to make it work. Bryce was written originally by Becca, and then I just sort of thought, we need to make him a sad theater guy with Hawaiian shirts. Because if it's Dave Bautista, we need him in all different types of Hawaiian shirts. And a couple of his scenes got cut, and those were the best shirts. So I know, I almost kept them just for them. But,
Thank you.
Somebody in the back want to ask a question? Yes.
It was a great film. It was really, yeah, you did a wonderful job. I was just wondering how long it took for you to write the movie and the writing process.
So Becca and I had sort of an unorthodox process because I told Becca I want a script about a girl and a guy coming from my own life experience that don't end up together. And so there was like a process of writing sort of a rom-com. And then I think I remember this conversation very clearly. I'd watched Blue Valentine before a meeting that we had. And I got to Hugo's with Becca and I said, I don't want to do this movie anymore. We're doing Blue Valentine. And so then I kind of took it over and made it really sad. And the levity that is in there is sort of a part of the process that we did on set, but it was way darker for a long time because I think I needed maybe in a therapeutic way to get that memory out, and so the process was a lot of me writing and a lot of talking to my therapist about why I was writing it so much. Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, this is beautiful, so thank you very much. I'll do a lighter question. I would love to know if the murder mystery theater came from experience
murder mysteries. And I love true crime. That whole monologue that she gives to Ethan at the beginning is something that I very much have as like a date thing that I say, which is not good that I just said that. But I'm always like curious about what people, what their serial killer trait is, because I find it fascinating, true crimes in general. But then once I've started actually really digging into this, I realized that true crime and podcasts about true crime and watching those silly but real true crime Netflix documentaries is really about the fact that I'm leaving my body, which is a lot of what this movie is about, is the not sitting with myself. It's like going to a fantasy world, which is the same thing as eating, which is the same thing as alcohol, which is the same thing as being codependent on another person. So what I wanted to do with the murder mystery thing was have it be so fantastical and strange that it almost took you out of the movie and took you out of your body, just like Riley wanted to do, in a way.
Do we have one or two more? Yes.
Hello, thank you so much. That was wonderful, amazing. I have a question about, there was a couple moments where there was complete silence. I think it was when she was in the bathtub and then also during the 911 call. Just wondering your reasoning behind that and your perspective on that.
Oh, that's a good question. Thank you for noticing those things. Yes, those were specific because, like I was just saying about the true crime and the food and the social media, what I wanted to do, and I guess if you watched it again on a rewatch, there is no silences. Even when she gets home and she puts on her jeans, she puts on a podcast. She's always listening to something in her ears. There's always a song playing because I thought it was really important that she can't be alone with herself. And I think a lot of people can't be alone with themselves right now. Just sitting and waiting for your food without being on Instagram is really difficult. And so those moments of silence, I wanted it to be sort of a jarring realization that it's not her choice to be silent. They were scary points of the movie that needed to be showcased, that we will be silent whether we like it or not, in a way. Yes.
One more question?
Yeah, the story of the film was really personal. You talked about some personal things in this Q&A. Did you have any reservations about like putting out such a personal story, and how did you overcome that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not too comfortable with it even now, to be honest. Courtney, how do you feel about that?
Wow. Yeah, I think we probably feel the same, that it's a story that needs to be told, but it's really scary when it feels like, when you feel the pressure of being the one telling it. And then especially when it's so personal to you, and you add the business to it and being able to see it from afar, or are you too close? I think there's so many things that go on with it, but I think it's just an incredibly important story to tell. Did that answer the question?
No, yes.
No?
Yes. No, what I was gonna say was I feel like, I guess why I was throwing it over to you in a way was to give context to the fact that I think everyone has a personal story connected to this movie, whether it was our crew or every member of the cast had something in connection to either they had an experience with this or they had an experience with a family member or something like that. Not even eating disorder related, but addiction or mental health. And I think that gave me a lot of strength, that although I was maybe the one that's being the most vocal about it, it was comforting to know that we are all going through something like this. I just happened to put it a little bit bigger, which I am still wrestling with, but I do find it important that we all recognize that we are very similar in this, and that's why I wanted to make it.
Yeah, that is a perfect answer, and I'm actually sad because we do have to go.
Oh no, I'm not sad.
That's all I can
Yeah.
say. Well, just again, thank you, truly, both of you, so much for your vulnerability, and I'm so excited for this to have major release and for everyone to see it, because I know it must be hard to share, but it will make so many people feel seen, and I hope you guys can recognize that, because it's just so
Can I get a quick shot of the three of you together?
No, no, right here. Hold on. Hold on.